Hello, good evening, everyone. Once again, welcome and thank you for joining. Uh, Tonight is our last session for this topic and term. So, once again, as usual, we will start with the refuge prayers and four immeasurables. Oh, and Buddha Dhamma Asanga Ajatashatru Dhamma Vasubandu Ajendala Ashara Vasubandu and Buddha Dhamma Asanga Ajatashatru Bhavaja Ajendala Ashara Vasubandu and Buddha Dhamma Asanga Ajatashatru Bhavaja Ajendala Ashara Vasubandu. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a path from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, those Namkha. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a path from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, those Namkha. May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those Namkha. According to the intelligence and predisposition of it, where the Yatra dharani agrelo and common vehicles. And tonight we will go to talk about how to see the perfect elimination of the afflictions. And of course it was talked that what you discard and so on throughout the whole course. But here we will look at the last couple of half a dozen verses which captures the how the negative tendencies are actually eliminated, technically speaking. And then what are the antidotes and what are the result of the abandoning the negative obscuration, afflictions, so to speak. So it's a very positive topic tonight. But you can't have the result of elimination obscuration unless you know the obscuration. So that's why all the typology, all the functions, all the activities of various 10 root afflictions, how many other related fetters or bondages or entanglements or enwrapment, that are likened as floods, likened as poison, likened as prison, and so on. We went through. With the last part of it, here the great commentator on the Abhidharmakosha, the Tibetan monk called Chim Jampal is the Chim brothers were the great early upholders of the Abhidharmakosha in Tibet, and two of the brothers have written one commentary each, and so here the translation of the last part of that I would just like to go through briefly tonight, and then I would like to share how someone succeeded to remove these negative obscurations directly as a result of their receiving teachings from Buddha and Manjushri. So we'll look at briefly at the last part of the evening what is called the elimination of King Ajatashatru's deep remorse. Because King Ajatashatru is created all the terrible, heinous crimes, but nevertheless, he too was able to completely be free from his afflictions and attain arhathood. We'll come to that towards the end in order to symbolize that it is possible, no matter how heavy a burden of karma and suffering the afflictions make us to, break our back, so to speak. But nevertheless, when you meet the right teaching and practice, there are constant stories how many people become freed from the fetters, freed from the flood and the fire and the prison and chain by which they have been tied up by the afflictions. So it is said that there are. So we can look at the actual method of abandoning the negative afflictions, and it said they abandoned. There are three levels. One is abandoning the object of the affliction by realizing the path of seeing. So it's basically you have to gain the path of seeing. We know that, isn't it? All the 98 obscure afflictions are only abandoned when you attain the path of seeing in relation to truth of suffering, truth of origin, truth of cessation, and the truth of Noble Path. So usually we see the Four Noble Truths as some kind of basic framework of Buddhist teaching, but in reality, Four Noble Truths is the one which realization of which you actually attain the path of seeing and then become free from this affliction. That they are noble in the sense you realize the truth. And so therefore abandoning objects to be abandoned by the path of seeing, by fully understanding, fully understanding the objects, why the objects manifest as a result of one's affliction. One. Second is how one abandons the afflictions by correctly eliminating them. There are incorrect ways of eliminating them. Superficial ways of eliminating them, because correctly eliminating the mind that focuses on that object. So it's first the object. You abandon the object. Second is the mind that creates and projects the objects. And third is abandoning minds by abandoning their focal object. So basically you abandon the object, then you abandon the mind that has those thoughts, and then abandoning the very mind that relates to those things. So how does that happen? It's almost like realizing the emptiness of the objects, of the afflictions, and as well as the affliction themselves and the mind itself, emptiness of mind itself. That's why it's called path of seeing. This comprises 50 of the 88 afflictions we talked about are all abandoned by path of seeing. So it's a path of seeing is that you have to realize that some afflictions such as ignorance and innate grasping to self, they are what we call universal afflictions. Both in all three realms, desire realm or form and form realms. So one focuses on the object of its own desire realm to be abandoned by the truth of suffering, seeing the truth of suffering, seeing how truth of suffering is created by our desiring of the objects, desiring of the objects, and then there are other afflictions like anger and desire and pride, which are not universal afflictions. They just come and go, and so they are also abandoned by the truth, by seeing the truth of suffering. Truth of suffering means the sufferings are but impermanent. Sufferings are but nature of life. And so therefore objects with which you have desire to or anger to are only created when you don't have this truth of seeing of the truth of the suffering. When you don't see the truth of suffering, you deny the truth of suffering. You reject the suffering. So now one doesn't abandon. One abandons doing that because you have realized you have abandoned the object by seeing the truth of its origin. The origin of our seeing the object is not the object. Origin of the perception of object is our own affliction of the affliction. Truth of origin is our affliction, not the object. Previously we think it's the object. So now quarrel isn't really with the object. Quarrel is with truth of origin. When you have realized the truth of origin with the truth of seeing, truth of seeing, the truth of origin is what you're really seeing. You're not blaming non-origin as origin or mistaken origin as origin. You are now recognizing, apprehending true origin as the origin. Because of that, your quarrel with the object is ceased. So that's how the object is abandoned. Object is abandoned as objects of desire or anger or aggression or whatsoever. So until you realize the truth, the path of seeing of the truth of origin, path of seeing of the truth of origin, you have to have the realization of that origin, which is affliction. Even afflictions are impermanent. So it's not the suffering is not only origin is mistakenly apprehended, but even the affliction that you think is yours is also empty of true existence. So the origin itself is seen to be truly lacking independent existence. So it too is impermanent. So that's why one has this realization how to stop having this clinging both to the object, as we have realized this we have realized this truth of seeing, path of seeing of the truth of origin, suffering and truth of origin, respectively. So all the related afflictions are naturally abandoned by abandoning the object and then abandoning the origin, abandoning the origin, abandoning truth, because we have the seeing of the truth of origin. And then additional 9 objects are abandoned by the seeing the truth of suffering. Because remember, anger has 9 objects. Anger has 9 objects, that could be your loving object, your hated object, your neutral object, and then related with past, present, future. So 3 times 3 makes 9. So all the 9 objects of afflictions or sufferings are abandoned by seeing the truth of suffering as well as a truth of origin. So you can see there is no real noble truth of path, noble truth of suffering, or noble truth of origin realization unless you have the path of seeing. So that's why the path of seeing is so crucial, which is vipassana. We have to understand, and to have vipassana, you have to have calm abiding. So these are the reason why the negativities can only be eliminated through realization in the meditation. So both, just as we do that in the desire realm, it also happens with the form realm and formless realm. And so the more subtle form of the universal affliction, like the five afflicted views, they become a little bit harder. But as you realize not only truth of suffering and truth of origin, also you realize the truth of cessation. Yeah, truth of cessation only happens in relation to each suffering, suffering and its origin, by being able to see the emptiness. Truth of cessation is only when you have realized emptiness of the suffering, of the origin, of the causes. And so that's why it is called the fully understanding the focal object, because you abandon them. And second is abandoning the mind that focuses on them, that are associating with afflictions. So when the association with afflictions is eliminated, they are not now they're disassociated. So therefore the cessation. Mind is now seized by the condition of the suffering. So therefore there is a cessation. So truth of cessation comes from seeing, seeing the actual mind, that truly grasp to the wrong views, thinking I am, or I'm superior, or all those five afflicted views are now cause a dent. Whereas when you cause a dent to the five afflicted views, then you have truth of cessation. Truth of cessation. So the all contaminated objects are abandoned by seeing the truth of cessation and truth of the path. That are related with the six types of ignorance, because ignorance is very subtle. Ignorance is subtle and harder. So in all three realms, particularly those in the form realm and formless realm, they still think they are in the highest level. They are grasping with a superior complex as if they have reached the state. They're ignorant that they are actually grasping to eternalism of some kind of. So the path of seeing with full knowledge of the real knowledge of the truth of suffering, truth of origin, truth of cessation, and truth of path, then with full knowledge, the real nature of the Four Noble Truths abandons all the 51 afflictions. And then it no longer engages with those objects or the mind anymore. Because of that, the knowledge has attained through seeing eliminates grasping to inanimate objects as well as conceptual thoughts. So this is how the abandoning is done by abandoning the objects, and then the mind that is afflicted, and then the affliction themselves, and then when the affliction themselves eliminate, it actually then frees the mind itself from any of that, be both the subject and object. So this is what you call three levels of abandoning. When this is achieved, this is achieved because you have the antidotes. Now you have the truth of the path up your sleeves. because you have the truth of path in your obviously, which is the truth of seeing. You have the noble truth of path. Rather, you have the noble truth of path. You have truth of path of seeing. Path of seeing enables you to abandon, and then there are 4 levels how the antidote. Antidote. The 4, maybe you can say there are 4 types, but actually there are 4 levels when I carefully looked at it. First is that which abandons the truth of suffering, the truth of cessation. Yeah, so that's the first is the abandoner. Second is the antidote is that which maintains the attainment. Third is it extends the achievement of the quality. And fourth is now instantly it counteracts whenever condition appears as a suffering, and the suffering does not stick on you. Why? You're no longer grasping to aggregate or to me. So these are the what you call the 4 levels of antidote, we can call it. First antidote is that which abandons, because when it abandons the suffering and the true origin of suffering, it is called uninterrupted path. Now they engages in uninterrupted path that severs the obtainment of affliction. So the likelihood of you becoming afflicted and suffering is severed. Therefore, you have the forbearance. We know we are using the word forbearance and knowledge of the benefit of the forbearance. So you have the knowledge of forbearance on the truth of suffering, as well as a knowledge of forbearance in relation to the truth of origin, knowledge of forbearance in relation to the truth of the cessation, and the knowledge of the forbearance in relation to truth of path. So that's all those 16 things we went through. The other one of the sessions shows very clearly how those 16 moments we discuss are the ones that slowly goes to abandon the suffering and the origin, and then yield the cessation, and the cessation is extended by being on the truth of the path, and then it counteracts. You can see that's a very, very important procedure. So it's very, very logical. So you first abandon the problem, such as suffering, because you don't make suffering, you don't do ill will anymore, you don't do desire anymore, you don't do craving anymore, you don't do wrong views. Because of that when you don't do the cause, you don't have the result. So you abandon, and then you maintain that. Second is, once you abandon this, but that doesn't mean every day will be same, then sometimes some condition might, when you become near to the object, remember we were saying last week, that when you become near to the object, then object sort of stimulates or arouse or maybe instigate. Now the object cannot instigate you because you have abandoned it. And then you can maintain that composure even with the object, because you have renounced the object of suffering, and you don't do the subject of suffering as well. Subject of suffering is true origin. True origin you are not doing, and how could you? If you don't do the origin, you don't have the effect. See, that's why you abandon, and then you maintain. And third is you extend. Extend is when you're when you're in the noble truth of path. When you're able to on the path, then now you can not only extend on the duration of the problem, but that you're actually able to extend that. So therefore, uninterrupted path is now moved to the liberated path. Now liberated. You can almost say, yes, you're free from it. You no longer have the condition. It's liberated path. And maintain the separation from affliction that was previously obtained by uninterrupted path. Now previously uninterrupted, now liberated. And therefore, you have the Dharma knowledge of the truth of suffering, and you have Dharma knowledge of the truth of origin, You have the Dharma knowledge of the truth of the cessation, and you have the Dharma knowledge of the truth of the path. So all those sets of forbearance and knowledge and subsequent forbearance and subsequent knowledge, all of these are now equipping you to actually remedy them. First, abandon, secondly, maintain, third, extend, a fourth, counteract. So this is beautifully captured in the verse 61. It says, antidotes have four types: that which abandons, maintains, extends, and counteracts. It is asserted that afflictions are abandoned, though through counteracting focal objects. Focal objects. So the objects themselves, truth of suffering. When we suffer, we always have objects of suffering. Object to do with someone or something or some event in relation to that with suffering, And practitioners don't have much objects of suffering, but they have subjects of suffering. They don't talk about objects so much, but they talk about their mind mostly. They're dealing with the mind mostly. But the people who have realized that this truth of seeing in relation to the Dharma knowledge and subsequent Dharma knowledge, forbearance and subsequent forbearance, then you are now have the Dharma knowledge of your own mind, and now you're able to abandon them and maintain that, and then extend that, and then counteract if they're so effective an antidote. So the realization of the emptiness is incredibly important. If you realize renunciation, if you have bodhicitta on top of that, if you have bodhicitta would be good. So in Mahayana path is a little bit safer, because if you did the sadhana and meditation right from the very beginning with not just wanting oneself to become free from suffering, because one is doing each of those meditation with bodhicitta motivation, as most of you are familiar, that you have to have bodhicitta motivation right from the very beginning. Then every little ounce of realization you have of the truth of suffering and truth of origin and truth of the cessation, truth of path in relation to the forbearance and the knowledge, and then the subsequent forbearance, subsequent knowledge. When you have that, then you can see other sentient beings that you see who have suffering. They become your object of compassion. So because of that, it's become much more speedier as a cause for realization. So ordinary beings, even in the everyday life, when they have problem with something or someone, they try to distance the object as far as they can. That much everybody can do, but they don't realize their thought about the object is never leaving the object. They have left the object, but their thought is never leaving the object. So they don't abandon the object. Even they are physically distant. You might not even have the person or situation at all in your life, maybe 10, 20 years, but mind has still stuck with the object. The flood is still there. So that's why it says how to abandon the focal object by the realization of the path of seeing in relation to truth of suffering, and truth of suffering's object, and the origin, and the cessation, and the path. The nature of extension we were talking about, extension of your cultivation, is that the distance, so to speak, the distance from another through having distinct incompatible characteristics, even when abiding together, for example,
for instance, the four elements. Four elements are making your body to hold as much as it is holding now. You can see certain constituents in your body are not working very well. Even though you might feel physically painful, but you don't suffer the pain. You just know. You have the distance of thinking aggregate as me. You have distance. There is no you, that is the body. Because you don't have truth of origin that grasped a phenomena or thing or aggregate as me. And you can see how individuals, practitioners, don't suffer because they have no truth of suffering that is coming from truth of origin. They have eliminated suffering and truth of origin. Because of that, even though their mortal body is in the world, like arhats go through all the things the body go through, but they don't suffer as much. So there is what they call, in terms of how much one is able to distance from the object, focal object, and places and time, and elements and conditions that contribute to the giving the rise of these things. So you become more distant, more remotely remotely connected with any of those. When the afflicted states are eliminated, sometimes just once, maybe there's a little bit of break that you don't have that affliction at all, but sometimes object instigated and arise again. But when you become uninterrupted path to liberated path, then you gain freedom, obtain freedom from those symptoms or habits or sufferings or origin of sufferings from the past. And there may be sign of your antidote very strong. Yeah, it first abandons. Secondly, it maintains. Third, it extends, quality. And then again, when some condition arise, it can counteract again. So the antidotes are not something short supply you have to look for or call in emergency type thing. The antidotes are almost like a well-gathered merit, accumulation merit. You have all the antidotes up your sleeves. Then the resultant states are obtained. Yeah, resultant states of the truth of the cessation and truth of the path is there. Because you have upgraded your intellectual faculty, your what we call subsequent knowledge, your subsequent forbearance are all formidably stronger. So because of that, there will be a lot more resultant qualities that are not in the wishing list, but they are experience list, So that's what they call you will have 9 perfect knowledges. So 9 perfect knowledges are the result, result of this effort. These 9 perfect knowledges are Yongxie Gum, this is called in Tibetan. One eliminates the 2 aspects, the first 2 truths. Yeah. So each of the 9 perfect knowledges has this one. And in the desire realm, and 2 of the perfect knowledges eliminates 2. And then, so too, there are 3 in the 3 higher realms. So in this case, like the perfect knowledge number 1, abandons the objects to be abandoned by seeing the truth of suffering and origin in desire realm, which then eliminates 2 aspects to be abandoned by seeing the first 2 truths in desire realm. And then 2 are eliminated. 2 of these, number 2, the perfect knowledge, eliminates 2 aspects to be abandoned by the seeing the truth of cessation and truth of the path. So both of these are perfect knowledge abandoning object to be abandoned by seeing the truth of cessation, and perfect knowledge abandoning an object to be abandoned by seeing the truth of the path. So you can see each of them have result. Just as there are three perfect knowledges, abandoning the object to be abandoned by seeing in the desire realm, so too there are three perfect knowledges, abandoning the object to be abandoned by seeing in the desire form realm and formless realm, such as object to be abandoned by seeing the first true truths in the two higher realms, and so on. So you can see. Thus, those that abandon object to be abandoned by path of seeing in the three realms is posited as the six perfect knowledges. Yeah, six perfect knowledges. So we have three in each, three perfect knowledges for each of the three realms. So that's how you get 9. So the three for each of the three realms. The three other perfect knowledges that complement these is eliminating the factors associated with inferior stages, those of form realm, and all contaminations. 6 are a result of foreknowledge, and others are a result of Dharma knowledge. So foreknowledge and knowledge, then foreknowledge, subsequent foreknowledge, subsequent forbearance, subsequent knowledge. So those are, so other than the former set of 6, these 3 perfect knowledges are knowledges abandon object to be abandoned path of meditation. So this is now going higher, yeah. 3 perfect knowledges. Addition is because they now abandon the object, things to be abandoned by the path of meditation. Up till now, is a path of seeing only, yeah, path of seeing. Those that abandon object to be abandoned by the path of meditation in the 3 realms are 7th one is perfect knowledge eliminating and abandoning factors associated with inferior states. Those are the 9 desire stages exhaustively abandoned. So we list all the 9 because if there are 3 levels of small and middling and great, and then each of them subdivided into 3. Those are 9. Then the 8th is a perfect knowledge exhaustively abandon affliction of the form realm and eliminating contaminants or attachment. So that's the 8th perfect knowledge. 9th perfect knowledge is that which eliminate all contaminants or all fetters entirely, and exhaustively abandoning formless realm afflictions. So it goes from the desire realm to form and to formless to the formless realms. And all the results of unrestricted access. Now this is unrestricted access, meaning you do not have any interruptions. You have attainment, you have liberation. When all the results are unrestricted access concentration, 5 or 8 are the result of absorptions. The result of access concentration is the 8th one, and the 3 actual bases of the formless realm. So this is talking about the realization of the path of meditation in the form and formless realms, which is a little too much to go on, so I won't elaborate on that. And then end of that is all are the result of the Arya path. From here onward is that one has now succeeded, go beyond the worldly meditative states of desire realm, formless realm. So therefore now one has reached the Arya path. Arya path means you have actually reached the state of Arhathood or Bodhisattvahood, depending which way one has chosen. The subsequent knowledge we call subsequent knowledge, and the Dharma knowledge in 3 final stages, because they are all now compatible to move on into the stage of reaching those higher levels. It is the perfect knowledge because it is the uncontaminated obtainment of freedom. It discards the summit of existence. So one doesn't get attached to the summit of existence, which is the 9th level of the worldly meditative concentration, the peak of concentration. It completely destroys those 2 causes, and it transcends all the 3 realms. So that is what we call the result of the result of the 9 perfect knowledges, and hence effective application, implementation of the antidotes, of all those 4 antidotes mentioned. So now I want to move to the story of King Ajatashatru. Now this is very important because, of course, King Ajatashatru had a number of dealing with the Buddha. At the very beginning, under the influence of his bad friend Devadatta, he did many terrible things. Later on, he became very regretful, but he became a disciple. But he still was completely weighed down by his remorse. So this whole sutra was recently translated. It's called "Eliminating Ajatashatru's Remorse," and so I'll go over some of these passages. When Buddha was in Rajgriha with all the bodhisattvas and his senior disciples, having very deep discussion on the teaching of stories of other people, and talking about the story of the past, and this teaching about realization. It is said that 10,000 beings develop the mind that directed toward unsurpassed and perfect awakening. And that included Shariputra, Moggallana, Mahakashapa, Revata, Aniruddha, Upali, just to name a few, and all other great hearers, all other great hearers, Mishra-vakas. They all prostrated to the Blessed One and said in one voice, "Blessed One, noble ones, should respectfully generate roots of virtue. They should aspire to vastness. They should forge great aspiration. Why is this? Blessed One, even though hundreds of thousands of Buddhas have delivered talks on omniscience to us and taught us the Dharma, we have not had the fortune to realize this unobstructed wisdom. Oh, Blessed One, it would be better for us to have committed the 5 acts with immediate results, which means negative karma, than for us to have turned away from unsurpassed perfect awakening." They said that we should have created those 5 heinous karma, then we might have some regret, remorse, to follow the Dharma properly, because we haven't done anything bad enough to enthusiastic practice Dharma. That's what they're saying. Why is this, Blessed One? If we have committed the 5 acts with immediate result, we could purify suffering in hell while still not being devoid of the unobstructed wisdom of omniscience. Thus, Blessed One, our minds are of one thought. Given our meager faculties, we are not suitable vessels for the wisdom of omniscience. Why is this? Blessed One, to draw an analogy, when people's time has passed and they have died, their families are unable to keep them alive. Similarly, Blessed One, if one aspires to the vehicle of the hearers, one will not be able to heal the world and gods. Blessed One, to draw an analogy, this great earth supplies medicine for bipeds and quadrupeds. Similarly, Blessed One, those who develop the mind directed towards unsurpassed perfect enlightenment are able to heal the world and its gods. Now, I didn't read the many passages before that. That's all Buddha was talking about, the importance of the ultimate bodhicitta, and bodhicitta in particular, and how one shouldn't do it for oneself but for others, for all the effort one has made. So now and then at that time, what happens, after this was discussed, King Ajatashatru arrived all of a sudden before the Blessed One with 4 divisions of his army. They bowed down to the Buddha, his feet, and circumambulated him 3 times before gathering on one side. King Ajatashatru joined his palms together and facing the Buddha, bowing, he asked the Blessed One, "O Blessed One, on what basis and through what power do beings engage in and perform evil deeds?" Now, because he has done many things himself. Now, this is very important dialogue. Most of the sutras are dialogue. Yeah? Then the Blessed One answered, "O great king, the basis for beings consists of self, sentient being, life force, and person. Great king, in reliance upon their belief in the transitory collection as a real self, and based upon their mistaken experience, beings engage in and perform evil deeds." Now, this incredible teaching, that is why people create negative karma, is because they are attached to thinking that I am one of these 5 transient collection. So that's the basis of it. Blessed One, what is the root of belief in the transitory collection as a real self? Now, all the questions of Ajatashatru becomes really interesting, because Buddha is using the right key words, and then it makes Ajatashatru ask, what is the root of the belief in the transitory collection as a real self? Great king, belief in the transitory collection as a real self grows from root of ignorance. So then Buddha goes back and says, it's ignorance that makes us to grasp to the... Oh, Blessed One, what is the root of ignorance? Now the question goes like nailing again and again. Then Buddha says, Great king, ignorance grows from not contemplating correctly. So not contemplating correctly, yeah. Blessed One, what is the root of not contemplating correctly? Of course, now he was catching the right words. And then Buddha said, Great king, not contemplating correctly grows from the root of holding incorrect concept with regard to non-existence. Blessed One, what does it mean to hold incorrect concept with regard to non-existence? Great king, holding incorrect concept with regard to non-existence is a synonym for conceptualizing non-arising. So there's nothing happening, but people think something is happening. Blessed One, what is the root of conceptualizing non-arising? O great king, conceptualizing non-arising is a synonym for that which comes together with the arising. O Blessed One, what is that which comes together with the arising? Great king, since that which comes together with the arising is non-arising and non-occurring, it is called that which comes together with the arising. So you can see that. Now the teaching on the emptiness of non-arising, non-production by itself is pounded on. Blessed One, how should we consider that which does not arise? That which does not arise cannot be considered in the slightest. Blessed One, how is remorse observed? Now he's coming back to his remorse. Now he brings his story. Incredible. And then, great king, remorse is observed in terms of doubt. Yes, remorse is because of doubt. Blessed One, what is doubt? Great king, doubt is being doubtful about the correct things. Correct things are noble one says that is doubt. Yeah, doubting correct things. Blessed One, what is a noble one? What is it, so to speak, correctly? Buddha, Blessed One answered, Great king, noble ones are thus called because they are free from all stains and views. Then they don't have any of the view. Great king, speaking correctly is to understand that all phenomena come together with the arising. King Ajatashatru then asked the Blessed One, Blessed One, those who live in the world are obscured by affliction due to having thoughts centered on a self. See, now he's summing up. They do not trust what the noble ones who speak correctly say, and they thereby engage in and perform many evil deeds. Blessed One, that is remarkable. Well gone, one. That is astonishing, Blessed One. Under the influence of evil companions, and due to my pride and arrogance, because of my dominion, possessions, power, and wealth, I intentionally murdered my father. Blessed One, I have been unable to eliminate my doubt. No matter whether I am eating or drinking, whether I engage in or play or fun, whether I enjoy myself or pursue whatever is meaningful, or whether I spend time among my courtesans, or am I by myself or with many people day and night, I'm unable to eliminate my doubt. Blessed One, I have lost all taste for food. Blessed One, I'm not thirsty for any drink. Blessed One, I cannot sleep. Blessed One, all my splendor is gone. Blessed One, I live in constant terror, thinking that after this life, I will become a hell being. Before one, you are the eyes of the blind of this world, a guide for those who are carried away in the flood, a bridge for those who wish to cross. Now, these are exact opposite. We were talking about being trapped. Now there's a bridge. He says, you are the guide, you're the bridge. One who brings happiness to those who suffer, a treasure for the poor. You show the way for those who are on the bad path. You are supremely compassionate. Your mind cannot be discouraged. You regard all beings equally, and you are extremely loving, reliable, and unmoved by both happiness and suffering. Blessed One, since you do not abandon anyone, please give me, a fearful person, freedom from fear. Please give protection to those who are without protection. Please be a refuge to those who are without refuge. Please give eyes to the blind. Please lead me who has taken by the river by the hand. Blessed One, given that I have fallen into unbearable fear and intense terror, please teach me the Dharma so that I can be sure to eliminate my doubts and die without worry, having reduced the experience of what I have done. Then the Blessed One thought, oh, since King Ajatashatru indulges in craving, yet has faith in the profound Dharma, nobody except Kumara Manjushri could completely eliminate your doubt. So Buddha says, nobody can eliminate your doubt but Manjushri. Then through the power of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said this to the King Ajatashatru, oh great king, you should invite Manjushri for lunch. He will eliminate your awful doubt. He will also visit your residence, and all the beings in your household will develop roots of virtue. This will benefit countless beings who live in the city of Rajgriha. Shariputra. You can see Shariputra say this. You should just invite. What inviting a Buddha for a meal means, or Manjushri means. And then King Ajatashatru said to Manjushri Kumarabhutta, Manjushri Kumarabhutta, out of your kindness for me, please agree to me to come to my home for a meal. Once asked this, Manjushri said to the King Ajatashatru, Great King, please to accept clothing, alms balls, and food served and offered in a grand manner for the well-spoken Dhamma Vinaya is not an act of kindness. It's very important, this one. However, Great King, when you no longer have any doubt and uncertainty about the profound and sacred truth of the lack of self and the lack of problem, then will I have been kind to you. So giving food is not kind to you, but actually making your remorse go away is a real kind to you. Great King, when you no longer think about or conceptualize any phenomena, then I will have been kind to you. Great King, when you no longer think about or conceptualize the mind of the past, present, future, he, she, they, I did this, I didn't do this, then I will have been kind to you. Great King, when you no longer generate or block events, even the smallest view, then I will have been kind to you. See, this is now almost unveiling the mind that should now transcend its conceptions. King Ajatashatru then said to Manjushri, Manjushri, the nature of phenomena is indeed as you have described it. Still, out of kindness for me, please come to my dwelling tomorrow with your retinue for a meal. Manjushri said to the king, O great king, to accept clothing, alms bowl, food for the well-spoken Dharma Vinaya is not an act of kindness. He's telling him off. However, great king, when you no longer grasp at a self, or a sentient being, or a life force, or a person, or a deed, or done, then I will have been kind to you. Great King, when you no longer grasp at the perception of self or the perception of the other, then I will have been kind to you. See, this is what we were talking before, abandoning the object and abandoning the subject, yeah, and abandoning the thought. Great King, when you no longer grasp at mind, observations, aggregates, elements, sense sources, sense objects, inner experiences, outer experiences, the three realms, transcendence of the three realms, virtue, non-virtue, what is wholesome, what is unwholesome, the world, transcendence of the world, defilements, non-defilement, conditioned things, unconditioned things, affliction, purification, samsara or nirvana, then I will have been kind to you. So this is exactly what we were talking before. When you abandon your attachment to the object and suffering that is there, then you have been really kind to you, because then you are having that realization, the truth of suffering, and truth of the origin, truth of the cessation, of the truth of the birth. That's exactly what I can get from this conversation. Then King Ajatashatru said to Manjushri, Manjushri, please heed me out of kindness for me. He keeps saying, kindness for me, kindness for me. Manjushri replied, Great King, attachment or appropriation of any phenomena is neither beneficial nor pleasant. Great King, any movement or mentation is neither beneficial nor pleasant. However, not grasping at movement or mentation and giving up attachment is beneficial and pleasant. Great King, not being agitated is beneficial and pleasant. Great King, being agitated again is neither beneficial nor pleasant. Great King, reaching the end is beneficial and pleasant. Once again, getting involved in action is neither beneficial or nor pleasant. Quite a lot of the Zen teachings you can see are very much coming from these kind of conversations between Buddha and disciples, Manjushri and kings like this. King Ajatashatru then asked Manjushri, Manjushri, what phenomena are unchanging? Great King, emptiness involves no action or change. Now the truth is revealed. Likewise, absence of marks, absence of wishes. So this is signlessness and wishlessness they're talking about, yeah? Absence of marks means signlessness. Absence of wishes means wishlessness, yeah? And then emptiness, of course. Emptiness, signlessness, wishlessness. These are the three thorough doors of liberation. And absence of application involves no action or change. Great King, whenever there is application of body, speech, mind, there's no action or change. Great King, when one does not act or apply body, speech, and mind, there is no action or change. Great King, therefore all phenomena have the characteristic of being devoid of application, yet lack the application is not characterized as such. Manjushri, how can one be confident in the unconditioned nature of conditioned things? Now, see, the king is asking these amazing questions. Great king, when one does not consider the past to have occurred, amazing, yeah? Past to have not occurred. You're talking about anger or objects of anger or jealousy. When one does not consider the past to have occurred, does not consider the future as not yet come, and does not conceptualize the present, this is exactly what the Mahamudra meditation is. They say, don't trace the past, don't anticipate future, and don't hold the present. And then that's it. That is the meditation. So therefore, it's very important not to think that the Tibetan or some Indian sadhus or saints got some teaching, so-called Mahamudra and Mahasandhi out of the sky. Look at this. This is all in this conversation. The very nature of the mind. It says here, Great King, when one does not consider the past to have occurred, does not consider the future as not yet come, and does not conceptualize present, one becomes confident in the primordial lack of arising. See? This is primordial. Primordial Dharma Dhatu we're talking about. So in Vajrayana we use bombastic terminology, but that's all in here, this sutra, this simple sutra. Huh? And one does not exaggerate or denigrate it. Just doing this, O Great King, is to be confident in the unconditioned nature of conditioned things. Now, all the teaching of nature of the mind is in that paragraph. And then King Ajatashatru, Manjushri, how do affliction assist one on the path? See, now he's realized his affliction of remorse has brought him into the path. There is no truly existing affliction that is an hindrance when you have this understanding. Great King, what do you think? Do the light of the sun and darkness coexist? And then Manjushri, they do not. The king says, they do not. Why so? Darkness is eliminated by sunlight. Well then, Great King, does darkness remain assembled or does it proceed? Manjushri, it does neither of these. See, the Ajatashatru's answers are very good when the questions are amazing. Usually they say the answer isn't a good question. Because Manjushri is facilitating. This is called guidance, instructions. This is pointing the mind. These days the Tibetan, some tradition think the teacher can point the mind, it comes you and him only, some poignant moment. No, look, read these sutras and meditate. And there you have it. Likewise, Great King, when the wisdom of the path has arisen, affliction no longer exists. See? Emptiness. There is no affliction. At that point, affliction neither remain assembled, nor in object, nor in any direction. See? Truth of cessation. Now there is no affliction, neither in the object, towards the object, nor in the mind. Why? Because you have realized. Great King, the path is sameness, because afflictions are sameness. Afflictions are sameness, because path is sameness. All phenomena are sameness, because afflictions are sameness. Thus, Great King, afflictions themselves are the path for anyone who realizes this. Now, so, don't beat up yourself because you have affliction. The affliction themselves are the path. Some people say, Vajrayana says, brings the affliction into the path, not renouncing, What is this? This is Vajrayana? This is not Vajrayana. This is just a plain Mahayana Sutra. It says the afflictions are the path for anyone who realizes it. Why is this? Because one has understood afflictions in this way, affliction will not arise. Furthermore, examining an affliction itself is the path. So doing analytical meditation, so you are able to have the forbearance when you see the affliction. Then you have the knowledge that afflictions are not truly existing, and they can also become the path. The king asks, Manjushri, how is it that if one understands affliction themselves are the path? These questions are now getting as good as the answer. Manjushri answered, O great king, when one understands the afflictions, one's mind is no longer dualistic. Therefore, in understanding afflictions themselves become the path. Remember, the eightfold path or noble middle path is avoiding the dualistic. Extreme right is extreme left is. Great king, therefore, affliction themselves are the path. Manjushri, how is this path cultivated? So now, because affliction is the path, right? Now he says, what is the path? Great king, cultivating all phenomena is cultivating the path. Manjushri, if one has cultivated the path in that way, where does it lead? Yeah, see how the great king. If one has cultivated the path in this way, it does not lead anywhere. Very good. So there's no destination. Be very careful, okay? No summit. No summit there. Does not lead anywhere. It's good. See the journey without destination. Yeah. The king asked, Manjushri, does the path lead to nirvana? Then he remembers, maybe nirvana is the destination, you know. Manjushri replied, Great king, is there any phenomena such as the path in nirvana? And Manjushri, there is not. Manjushri said, therefore, O great king, when one cultivates the path of the noble ones, there's no need to go anywhere, including nirvana. Manjushri, what do noble ones base themselves on to cultivate the path? Great king, noble ones cultivate the path by basing themselves on the absence of a basis. Basing themselves on the absence of a basis. Manjushri, do noble ones not cultivate the path by basing themselves on discipline, insight, and absorption? Now the king is asking all this, he's bringing all these conventional things. Great king, the discipline of noble ones is characterized by being free of application. Great king, the absorption of noble ones is characterized by being free of concepts. Great king, the insight of noble ones is characterized by being free of elaboration. See, this is all the Mahamudra talk about. Great king, what do you think? Are you able to base yourself in the absence of application and elaboration? Manjushri, I'm not. The king says, no, I cannot do that. Manjushri said, Great king, based on that explanation, you should understand and follow as follows. The noble ones cultivate the path by basing themselves on the absence of a basis. see the emptiness of the base. Manjushri, how do sons and daughters of the noble ones enter the path? Now, Great king, when they examine, they do not observe any phenomena. They do not observe any phenomena. They do not observe any phenomena that are permanent or impermanent, beauty or ugly, pleasant or painful, that have a self, or lack a self, or that pretend to samsara or nirvana. If they can be in this way, Great king, they are said to have entered the path. Then King Ajatashatru requested Manjushri, if you would come for tomorrow's meal with your retinue to clear away my awful remorse, it would be excellent. He still hasn't got it. He still hasn't got it. It's quite interesting, yeah? Manjushri replied, O great king, whatever is non-existent is always that way. Because it does not exist, it is without liberation. What is liberated also does not exist, and hence it is liberated. Based on such non-existence, nothing becomes liberated. Why is this, Great King? It is because all phenomena are liberated by their very nature. He's completely not talking about going to his home, He says going to home is not important. Then the Blessed One told Manjushri Kumar Buddha, Manjushri, this is now Buddha intervening, yeah? Because Buddha is sitting there listening to this conversation. Then the Blessed One told Manjushri, "Oh, Manjushri, please go to King Ajatashatru's place for a meal. It will benefit him and many others." And then Manjushri responded to the Blessed One, "Blessed One, I'll do as you say. I'll not disobey thus gone's holy word." So Buddha said, "You must go." When King Ajatashatru understood that Manjushri had accepted the invitation, he was very happy and delighted. Filled with joy, happiness, and delight, he bowed his head to the feet of the Blessed One, then to the feet of Manjushri, and to the entire Sangha of monks. King Ajatashatru then asked Venerable Shariputra, "Respected Shariputra, how many servants does Manjushri have?" "With my 2 limousines do?" He's so cute. And then Shariputra responded, "Oh, Great King, he takes food with 500 other bodhisattvas." so it's going to be not just inviting for a simple meal, 500 bodhisattvas. He always eats with them, The King Ajatashatru quickly returned to his residence. That night he ordered that a feast of excellent savory and delicious food and drinks be prepared. He ordered that many delicious dishes be prepared. He ordered that his residence be draped in silk tassels and decorated with parasols, banners, and standards. He ordered that it be adorned with silken canopies perfumed with finest incense. He set up 500 seats in his residence, which he covered many varieties of cloth decorated with many gems. He ordered that every corner of the carefully swept, sprinkled, scented with fragrances, and covered with scattering of holy flower petals. He ordered that the gateways, junctions, passages, and markets in the city of Rajgiri be cleansed, sprinkled, scented with fragrances, and covered with a scattering of flower petals. He ordered that all the people of the city of Rajgiri should engage in the veneration of Manjushri's arrival. When staying in his monastery during the first watch of the night, Manjushri thought, "It would be not right if my retinue were too small for the food being prepared in King Ajatashatru's palace. So I should invite bodhisattvas from other Buddha realms. They will listen to Dharma and destroy doubt and remorse of the King Ajatashatru while having his meal." So he said, the more the bodhisattvas came with me, the more it will be good for the king to remove his doubt. Then in the time it would take a strong man to extend and contract his arm, Manjushri Buddha disappeared from his monastery and traveled past 8 million Buddha realms in the east, arriving in the world called eternally resounding sound, where the Buddha's worthy and perfect Buddha, resounding glory, lived and flourished. He taught the Dharma only to the bodhisattvas. He turned only to single Dharma wheel of non-regression. In that world was a tree made out of 7 precious materials that bore various fruits and flowers. When stirred by the wind, this precious tree would produce the sound of Buddha, the sound of Dharma, and the sound of non-regressing Sangha of bodhisattvas. For this reason, because it was never devoid of the sound of the 3 jewels, the world eternally resounding sound received their name. Manjushri then bowed his head to the feet of the Blessed One, thus gone, resounding glory, and requested him, "Blessed One, would the thus gone please ask your bodhisattvas, great beings, to come with me from this Buddha realm to the palace of the King Ajatashatru for an offering feast?" Thus gone eternally resounding sound then told the Bodhisattva great beings, noble sons, may those among you who wish to accompany Manjushri go to the world for a lunch. It's cute, isn't it? Upon hearing this, 82,000 bodhisattvas, great beings in the retinue of Bodhisattva announced with one voice, Blessed One, we wish to come with Manjushri to King Ajatashatru palace in the world to accept the feast. Then in that very moment, Manjushri Kumaputra, accompanied by those 82,000 bodhisattvas, disappeared from the world called eternally resounding sound, reappearing in his own monastery. So he arrived with 82,000 on top of the 500 bodhisattvas of his own. Manjushri Kumaputra then gave assembled bodhisattva detailed teaching called dharani. Now, this is very important. Dharani means the spell to hold your memory. So dhara means to hold, yeah. Spell to hold the memory. So memory, so retention. Dharani means. So he gave something to hold it. Dharani refers to unfailing recollection, unwavering understanding, undiluted intelligence, clear knowledge, knowledge that comes from teaching the path by demonstrating suchness in all phenomena. Guarding once the result is attained. Yeah, if you remember this, you will attain knowledge of entering the flawless path, knowledge of discrete labels for all phenomena, continuing the family of noble ones by means of dharani, upholding the family of Buddhas, consolidating the family of Dharma, knowing the family of Sangha to be in accord with the Dharma, being undiluted about questions and teachings, not being timid before any retinue, not being afraid before any retinue, knowing how to teach in the language of the gods, knowing how to teach the language of Nagas, knowing how to teach the language of Yakshas, Gandharvas, Asuras, Garuda, Kinnaras, Maharagas, humans, non-humans, Shakra, Brahma, knowing the faculties and genuine language, knowing mistaken views, understanding the faculties of all beings, understanding the mind like the earth, being unperturbed by the 8 worldly concerns, nurturing all virtuous qualities, teaching in accord with the results of ripening actions, seeking the nourishment of all beings, establishing the base of discipline in all beings, being in accord with all forms of wisdom, shouldering the burden of suffering of all beings without becoming discouraged or losing heart, knowing the nature phenomena, demonstrating and describing the nature, feeling delighted rather than discouraged when giving the gift of Dharma, not desiring the ripening of any roots of virtue that has been accumulated, not being separate from the root of omniscience, being diligent in establishing the root of omniscience, not being satisfied with giving, but dedicating it to the mind of omniscience, not being satisfied with the discipline, but dedicating to beings. Now, this is talking about the complacency, because when we talk about discipline or generosity, we usually become complacent, not being satisfied with discipline, but dedicating it to all beings. So whatever little discipline you do, don't get tired of it, but dedicating it for all beings. Not being satisfied with patience, but seeking the form of the Buddhas. Not being satisfied with diligence, but amassing roots of virtue. Not being satisfied with concentration, but adopting the approach of non-apprehension. Not being satisfied with knowledge, with concentration, but adopting the approach of non-apprehension. Not being satisfied with knowledge, but investigating everything. Being sustained by the wealth of Dharma, never committing evil deeds. Noble sons, dharani is earnestly follow the Dharma with regard to these qualities. That is why this is called dharani. Moreover, noble sons, dharani contains all phenomena. How does dharani contain all phenomena? It contains all phenomena due to emptiness. It contains all phenomena due to absence of marks. See, signlessness. It contains all phenomena due to absence of wishes. See, it's wishlessness. All phenomena are contained due to non-attachment, disengagement, insubstantiality, undifferentiation, lack of basis, lack of birth, lack of appearance, lack of coming, lack of holding, lack of going, lack of resting, lack of emerging, lack of transfer, lack of fear, lack of accepting, lack of rejecting, lack of nature. You thought now I know knows was long enough a list. Now look at this list. lack of entity, and due to there being no thought, no concept, no accomplishment, no self, no being, no life force, no person, no elaboration, no apprehension, no application, no occurrence, no seeing, no hearing, no touching, no experience, no contact, no apprehension, thus it is called dharani. Yeah. So this is dharani, means to remember everything is nothing. This is the highest dharani. Remember, mantra there equals all mantras, remember? So this is dharani that don't have to say, but have to remember there is nothing, there is no occurrence. You don't talk about occurrence, because there was no truly existing occurrence. Furthermore, noble sons, dharani contains all phenomena with an illusory nature. See, dharani is again now talking about illusion. Dharani contains all phenomena due to dream-like nature. See, now he's bringing the dream analogy. Dharani contains all the bubble-like nature. See, now use the bubble. See, in the Dhammapada Sutra, they use these 9 analogies, now bringing this. Dharani contains all mirage-like nature. Yeah. Dharani contains all reflection-like nature. Dharani contains all echo-like nature. Dharani contains all space-like nature. Thus, it is called dharani. You see? So dharani is not the mumbo-jumbo reciting all the time. You can recite also, if you can remember this, and then hold your retention of the emptiness and signless and wishless nature of things. That's a real dharani. What you thought is mirage. What you thought was a bubble. What you thought was just an echo. Think like that. Furthermore, noble sons, dharani contains all phenomena due to lack of concepts. This is what I had this incredible, when I saw this, read the details of the sutra, I said, this is exactly what we need in this class. How to see the ending of the, all the afflictions. Thus it is called dharani. Furthermore, noble sons, dharani contains all phenomena due to lack of concept. Likewise, it contains all phenomena due to suffering, emptiness, lack of self, lack of movement, lack of affliction, lack of passive purification, lack of attainment, and lack of action. This is called dharani. Yeah? Noble sons, to draw analogy, what indeed the earth contains, all beings, it does so without breaking or getting weary. Noble sons, even though bodhisattva, great beings who have attained dharani, likewise spend countless eons gathering the roots of virtue that give rise to the mind of omniscience for the sake of all beings, they do so without breaking or getting weary. Noble sons, to draw another analogy, the earth nourishes all beings. Noble sons, bodhisattva who have attained dharani, likewise nourish all beings. See, this is sometimes they say, may I be the earth, may I be the water, may I be a bridge, may I be pillar. That's exactly, Noble sons, to draw another analogy, all grasses, trees, herbs, and forests grow upon the earth. Noble sons, bodhisattvas likewise grow their virtuous qualities upon dharani. So they give the analogy of the growth. Noble sons, to draw another analogy, earth does not develop attachment or aggression and does not get puffed up or bow down. Noble sons, bodhisattvas grounded in dharani likewise do not develop attachment or aggression. They do not get puffed up or bow down. See, it's using these analogies about the selflessness, because earth is selfless, Grass is selfless. And we too being busy me, that's the whole problem. Noble sons, to draw another analogy, the earth receives all rainfall without becoming saturated. Noble sons, bodhisattva grounded in dharani likewise do not become saturated when hearing about and teaching all the qualities of bodhisattvas, holy beings, and true practitioners. Noble sons, to draw another analogy, while indeed the earth holds every seed, until the right season and warmth appear, sprouts will not emerge. Likewise, noble sons, while indeed bodhisattva great beings who attain dharani hold every seed of roots of virtue, they will not sit at the seat of the awakening until the time and measure is right for them to perfect the qualities of Buddhahood. Noble sons, to draw another analogy, a warrior defeats all their opponents while attending on the earth. Noble sons, bodhisattva great beings who attend dharani likewise defeat the hordes of maras while seated at the seat of awakening. Noble sons, to draw another analogy, earth does not hold any permanence, impermanence, happiness, suffering, beauty, ugliness, self, being, lack of being, life force, lack of life force, person, lack of person in the sky. Noble sons, dharani likewise does not hold any phenomena. Why is this, noble sons? Dharani is free from duality. Noble sons, to draw another analogy, earth does not hold space. Likewise, noble sons, dharani do not hold any phenomena. Noble sons, to draw another analogy, emptiness does not hold any types of views. Likewise, noble sons, dharani does not hold any type of phenomena. Noble sons, to draw analogy, the natural state does not hold any subsidiary afflictions. Likewise, noble sons, dharani does not hold any phenomena. Noble sons, to draw analogies, the flawless path does not create or hold any phenomena. Likewise, noble son, dharani does not hold any phenomena. Therefore, noble sons, dharani is inexhaustible. What is inexhaustible is limitless. What is limitless reaches everywhere. What reaches everywhere is the expanse of the space. You see, the space, now it's a space. Noble sons, the expanse of space and dharani are not two different things. See, that's why it's good to realize the vastness of the space and become no self. When Manjushri Kumaragupta Buddha gave this teaching on dharani, 500 bodhisattvas attained dharani. You know his own 500 disciples? Furthermore, in the middle of the session, Manjushri Kumar Buddha delivered the detailed Dharma teaching called the Bodhisattva collection of these 500 bodhisattvas. What are the entrance to the bodhisattva's collection? Within the bodhisattva collection, there are no phenomena that pertain to the world or transcendence of the world. There are no phenomena that are conditioned or unconditioned. There are no phenomena that are virtues or non-virtues. There are no phenomena that are misdeeds or non-misdeeds. There are no phenomena that contain a person or lack of a person. Nevertheless, all these are contained within the bodhisattva collection. So Manjushri gives these teachings instead of going to the lunch. And of course the time here looks like long, but he gave these teachings to all the bodhisattvas. In this way, Manjushri expounded in detail Dharma teaching of bodhisattva collection of the bodhisattva during the middle watch of the night. Yeah, so the night went on. Then during the final watch of the night, Manjushri expounded detail upon the meaning that penetrates the Vajra words of non-regressing will. Noble son, the non-regressing will is such that when bodhisattva teach about it, those who listen to the teaching will all realize nature of non-regression. and they will not regress from explanations on non-regressing will. Noble sons, bodhisattva great beings who are inclined to the non-regressing will, do not engage with multiple beings, multiple doctrines, multiple vehicles, multiple Buddha realms, or multiple Buddhas. They see the turning of the wheel of all phenomena as engagement with everything. They do not turn the wheel of Dharma by differentiating realm of phenomena. Therefore, this non-regressing will is an unceasing will, the non-dual will that explains things accurately, and will of realizing self-occurring wisdom. This will is the will of the will of the circle of the realm of phenomena. Noble sons, those bodhisattva great beings who have been inclined, who are inclined, who will be inclined towards the will that is free of non-regressing due to marks will be liberated by the liberation of the thus gone. However, their liberation is not taught in dualistic terms. The characteristic of liberation of the thus gone are in the same as the characteristic of all phenomena. For the liberation thus gone ones are free of characteristic. All phenomena are free of characteristic of liberation. For any phenomena that lacks characteristic also lacks liberation. In actual fact, their non-duality and their lack of mind and body liberation. Mind and body cannot be liberated. Why is this so? Because liberation is nature of mind and body. Therefore, that wisdom does not rely on anything extraneous, and this is why it's called non-regressing will. Manjushri now expounded upon the Dharma Bodhisattva throughout the whole night. Thereupon, some Bodhisattva accomplished the absorption called the flower of light. As they rested in this bodhisattva absorption, light streamed from each of their pores, projecting hundreds of thousands of Buddhas. Each of these blessed Buddhas then engaged in the performance of Buddha activity for beings in the Buddha realms in the 10 direction. King Ajatashatru sent his messenger to invite Manjushri. Now that's the next day, to the midday meal message. Manjushri, time has come. Manjushri, the occasion is here. The meal is ready, so please be aware that the time has come. He says, I've been cooking all these things. He only cooked for 500, remember? The morning that where Elder Mahakashyapa donned his lower garment, took up his Dharma robe and alms bowl, he went to the city of Rajgiri accompanied by 500 monks to collect alms. Arriving at the junction on the road, he thought, it is too early to go to the city. I will instead go to Manjushri's monastery where we can have a discussion. Drop by Manjushri's home. He's so cute. The elder Mahakashyapa and 500 monks then went to Manjushri's. They have all 500, that's a lot of them. I don't know how big Manjushri's house is. Then went to Manjushri's monastery, and they had many pleasing and enjoyment conversation with Manjushri before they sat on one side. Manjushri then asked the elder Mahakashyapa, seated there, Venerable Mahakashyapa, why did you earlier don your lower garments and go out with your Dharma robes and alms bowl? Manjushri, I decided to go to Rajgiri to collect alms. Manjushri replied, Venerable Mahakashyapa, I intend to offer you and your retinue food. Manjushri, while I do seek offerings, I seek the Dharma, not material things. This is a good question. He says, I wasn't going to come for food from you. I was come to seek Dharma from you. Venerable Mahakashyapa, heed me. I will collect for you both the collection material things and the collection Dharma. Mahakashyapa replied, Manjushri, even if I had to give up food for the day, I will still follow you. Why is this? I will not hear the Dharma that you teach from anyone but you. Manjushri, where will you have your meal today with these great beings? I see that. So, Mahakashyapa was a bit of a wanderer, I think. Maybe he didn't fit in the entourage, Manjushri replied, Venerable Kashyapa, today we shall have our meal from a person who has been generous towards us. It is a person who does not move away from samsara, who does not think of nirvana, he does not pass beyond the level of ordinary being, and he does not actualize quality of noble ones. Venerable Mahakashyapa, today we shall have our meal from a person whom, after he has been generous towards us, no decrease or increase will come. Nothing will be generated or stopped. Nothing will be given or gained. The elder replied, Manjushri, such ways of generosity are practiced by great donors. Then Manjushri thought, I will go to the city of Rajgir by means of play of Buddha, means miracle. He then entered into meditative absorption called manifesting all miracles. As soon as Manjushri rested in the absorption called manifesting all miracles, entire world became even like a palm of a hand. All the worlds in the great three Chiliocosm were filled with bright light, sufferings of beings in the hell realm seas, as did the sufferings of beings and animal realms, the yamas. The attachment, aggression, dullness, anger, anxiety, sorrow of every being was eliminated. At that moment, all beings regarded as one another, as parents, and loved one another. All the worlds in the great shook 6 times. The gods in the realms of desire and the realm of form exerted themselves venerating Manjushri. Hundreds of thousands of instrumentals resounded, rain of fragrant flowers fell, path was swept. As soon as Manjushri entered the absorption, the entire road to the monastery, from the monastery gate to the city, became even like palm of one's hand. The road was paved with many gems. Numerous other jewels were strewn about. Jewel railings were placed along both sides of the road. Pink, red, and white lotus flowers filled the area, width of 7 chariots. Above the road were network of jewels, which were draped with many silken tassels, parasols, banners, standards, pennants erected. On both sides of jewel railings were jeweled trees up to the distance of an arrow shot. Incredible. So all these things happen. So I will skip this story. As soon as, so then, as this was all happening, this was all happening. All these showers of flower fell. Manjushri went to the city with hundreds of thousands of light rays streaming from his body. Hearing Manjushri arriving, accompanied by 82,000 bodhisattvas and 500 hearers, Ajatashatru thought, we have only prepared a meal for 500 people. Yet now so many are coming. Where will they stay? Where will I get enough food to serve to all of these? And I have been deceived by Manjushri. He's still thinking like this. As soon as King Ajatashatru had this thought, great King Vaishravana and the Yaksha Lord Kuvera revealed their magnificent forms and said to the king, O great king, do not be displeased. Manjushri is superior in insight. His insight is resemblant. His skill in the art of miraculous consecration. If he wishes, he can feed all beings in the 3 Chiliocosm with a single serve of food and drink. So what need do we say of 82,000 people? Great king, do not be displeased. Do not worry. There will be enough for everyone. Why is this, great king? Manjushri Kumarapata's skill in giving limitless. When King Ajatashatru heard this, he became happy and delighted. Filled with joy and happiness, delighted, venerable, he venerated Manjushri as a teacher. King Ajatashatru, along with his people, retinue, his servants, then went outside to greet Manjushri, bearing flowers and so on. They offered these to Manjushri and returned to the palace. Manjushri and his assembly all proceeded to King Ajatashatru to the palace and went inside. Everyone in the city, whether they had gone inside or palace, remained outside, exerted themselves in worship.
Among the assembly bodhisattva at that time, bodhisattvas, was a great being named Samanta Darshin. Manjushri addressed this bodhisattva, Samanta Darshin, "Noble son, please arrange a place for the assembly to sit. Know that the time has come." The Bodhisattva Samanta Darshan looked to the right and the left of the King Ajatashatru palace, and within King's palace there immediately appeared the place where the assembly could fit. The place was adorned with many silken streamers draped with canopies. It was filled with the flower petals and was even like a palm's hand and vast and extensive. At that time there was also a bodhisattva named Elevated by the Dharma, being among bodhisattva. Manjushri called out to bodhisattva by name, "Noble son, please lay out seats." So Manjushri is not the guest, he's like a host. And just completely blew the mind of King Ajatashatru. And so all this is happening, yeah? Then King Ajata was happy, delighted, filled with joy, bowed down to Manjushri, and then Manjushri said to him, "Great King, please offer your feast. Now the time has come." King Ajatashatru offered the feast that has been prepared, and the food, drinks, soups he offered, provided inexhaustible, lasting until the young ones had been served. The 500 portion that King Ajat had prepared for enough for feed 82,000 bodhisattvas and 500 hearers, even when they were not finished and did not run out. King Ajatashatru said, "Manjushri, what this is amazing, and this feast did not run out." Manjushri said, "Great King, this feast is inexhaustible as your awful remorse." He says, this feast is inexhaustible, like your awful remorse. Now the teaching comes, Once the bodhisattva great beings had finished their meal, they flung the alms bowl back in the sky, where they remained suspended without falling or being held up. King asked Manjushri, "Upon what are the alms bowl resting in the sky?" Great King, these alms bowls are resting in the same thing that your awful remorse is resting on. The king continued, "Manjushri, these alms bowls are not resting on anything." Manjushri said, Great King, neither does your awful remorse rest on anything." Great King, to draw an analogy, just as these alms do not fall, though they do not rest on anything, likewise, King, all phenomena are not blocked or do not rest on anything, and they do not fall. The king Ajatashatru saw the bodhisattvas and grey hearers had washed their hands and alms bowl. So he went before Manjushri to hear the Dharma and requested, "Noble Manjushri, please eliminate my remorse." Manjushri said, "O great king, even as many perfect Buddhas as there are grains of the sand in the Ganges could not eliminate your remorse." Ajatashatru realized that he was without protection, fell to the ground like a tree that has been felled. The elder Mahakashyapa then said to the king Ajata, "Great king, do not be frightened. Manjushri is skilled in explaining his intention. You should request him to explain the meaning behind his statement that even as many blessed Buddhas that as there are grains of the sand in the Ganges could not eliminate your awful remorse." Then the king Ajatashatru arose from the ground and asked Manjushri, "Manjushri, what did you intend when you said that even as many thus gone, worthy, perfect Buddhas, as there are grains of sand in the Ganges, could not eliminate my remorse?" Manjushri answered, "Great king, what do you think? Are blessed Buddhas generated by mental observations?" Manjushri, "They are not." "Are they generated by mental production?" Manjushri, "They are not." "Are they generated by mental blockages?" Manjushri, "They are not." "Are they generated by unconditioned?" Manjushri, "They are not."
Are they generated by condition? Manjushri, they are not. Oh, Grey King, what do you think? Can something that is not generated in any way be eliminated? Manjushri, it cannot. Manjushri continued, Grey King, this is the meaning I intended to by statement that even as many blessed Buddhas as there are grains of the sand of Ganges could not eliminate your remorse. Furthermore, Grey King, imagine that someone wished to afflict the sky with the dust, smoke, or darkness. Grey King, what do you think? Could they afflict the sky above? Manjushri, they could not. Grey King, if someone were to claim that they had purified the sky before, could they actually purify the sky above? Manjushri, they could not. Likewise, thus gone have perfectly understood the fact that all phenomena are like a space, that by their very nature they cannot be afflicted. If they thus see that no phenomena can be afflicted or purified, how could they eliminate something like that? Grey King, this is also what I had in mind when I said even many as blessed Buddhas as there are grains of sand could not eliminate your remorse. Furthermore, Grey King, the blessed Buddhas do not observe arising of any mental events internally, nor do they observe arising of any mental event externally. Therefore, Grey King, phenomena are non-arising by nature. Their nature is such that they do not arise. Anything that is non-arising has no basis or occasion of arising. Why is this? Because, Grey King, all phenomena are devoid of any nature. Grey King, all phenomena are without inherent nature because they are unperfected. Grey King, all phenomena are unperfected because they are undivided. Grey King, all phenomena are undivided because they are not originated. Grey King, all phenomena are unoriginated because they are unsubstantial. Grey King, all phenomena are insubstantial because they are not able to act. Grey King, all phenomena are unable to act because they are motionless. Grey King, all phenomena are motionless because they are unchanging. Grey King, all phenomena are unchanging because they are non-arising. Grey King, all phenomena are non-arising because they are not connected. Grey King, all phenomena are unconnected because they are naturally luminous. Grey King, all phenomena are naturally luminous because they are pure. Grey King, all phenomena are pure because they are open. Grey King, all phenomena are open because they are without remedy. now he's getting to hear there's no remedy. Grey King, all phenomena are without remedy because they are non-dual. See, no difference. Oh, Grey King, all phenomena are non-dual because they avoid limitation. Grey King, all phenomena avoid limitation because they are limitless. Grey King, all phenomena are limitless because they are boundless. Grey King, all phenomena are boundless because they are unbounded. Grey King, all phenomena are unbounded because they are unobservable. Grey King, all phenomena are unobservable because they are untrue. You know, it's almost saying this, your remorse is not truly there. Oh, Grey King, all phenomena are untrue because they are unobservable in terms of being permanent, beautiful, pleasurable, or having a self or entity. Grey King, all phenomena are permanent because of the way in which they lack movement. Grey King, all phenomena are beautiful because they are naturally luminous. Grey King, all phenomena are pleasurable because they are non-conceptual. Grey King, all phenomena have the nature of self because they have the way in which they demonstrate a lack of self. Oh, Grey King, all phenomena are free of remorse because they pacify the inner. Grey King, all phenomena are false because they are situated within the ultimate truth. Grey King, all phenomena are peaceful because they are characteristic of absolute peace. Grey King, all phenomena are unable to own because they are beyond ownership. Grey King, all phenomena are tasteless because they are characterized by liberation. Grey King, all phenomena are free of faultless because they cannot be made to self. Oh, Grey King, all phenomena are indistinct because they are free of having various facets. And so on. Great King, what do you think? Could something be non-arising and non-occurring be afflicted? Manjushri, it could not. Manjushri continued, could it be eliminated? King says, Manjushri, it could not. Manjushri continue. Therefore, great king, thus God knows all phenomena to be equal to nirvana. Therefore, he cannot eliminate your remorse. Therefore, great king, adopt an unmistaken and accurate attitude. You should accurately investigate the following. Investigate how your thoughts cannot appropriate or discard any phenomena. How does it not accompany any other phenomena? How whatever does not accompany any other phenomena is purified. Anything that is purified is utterly peaceful. Anything that is utterly peaceful is natural. Anything that is natural is uncreated. Great king, all phenomena are uncreated because they are ownerless. You must accept this. Phenomena are not to be created in any way. Therefore, great king, not acting in nirvana, and within that no phenomena are created and transformed. Anything that is not created and transformed is nirvana. Create, O great king, whoever aspires to this is truly liberated. Anyone who is truly liberated does not realize any phenomena because, great king, the suchness of all phenomena is uncreated. And O great king, in the same, it is true for the same, same is true for the ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. They cannot become afflicted or purified. And their nature is suchness. The nature of suchness is also the ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Great king, form too can become neither afflicted nor purified. And for the nature form is suchness. So in this way you can see all these profound teachings that is here in this sutra called Eliminating King Ajatashatru Remorse. It contains all the perfection wisdom teachings. Yeah? Perfection wisdom teachings of emptiness. And great king, all phenomena are non-existent because they arise from non-existence. In this vein, do not give rise to notions regarding something that is existent. So it's saying, asking the king that there is no remorse that is truly existing. Great king, to draw analogy, space is formless, invisible, imperceptible, and unobservable. Yet some person might say, I will afflict space, which is formless, invisible, imperceptible, unobservable, with particle, dust, smoke, fog, cloud. Great king, would that person be able to afflict the space, which is formless, invisible, and so on? Manjushri, they would not. Manjushri continue. Similarly, great king, while intended, all remorse will be removed if one investigate the reality of all phenomena. Reality itself is not free of anything. Therefore, what is free of remorse is same as reality. Thus, while indeed all phenomena are said to be accord with the realm of phenomena, reality itself is beyond being accord with any phenomena. Why is this? All phenomena are themselves in the realm of phenomena, meaning that is what is the same as the realm of phenomena is also same as all phenomena. Therefore, all phenomena are said to be accord with the realm of phenomena. When this teaching was taught, King Ajatashatru gained acceptance that accords with emptiness. And he was so happy and delighted, filled with joy and happiness and delight. He joined his palms together and exclaimed, Manjushri, you have spoken well. My remorse is eliminated. Manjushri said, Great king, given that all phenomena are beyond suffering, your claim that your remorse is eliminated is great observation. Finally, the job's done. So what does this say in relation to this subject we are talking about tonight? Is that that one needs to realize the emptiness of suffering and emptiness of the origin, emptiness of cessation, emptiness of the path. This is why towards the end of Heart Sutra they say, therefore there is no suffering, no origin, no cessation, no path, no attainment, no non-attainment. Yeah? Yeah, so this is all in this sutra. Now, I suggest all of you, what I just read is maybe quarter of the sutra tonight. If you can just open and it's very easily. It's just I don't know how long it's been translated. The 84,000 program translation project. This is in there. I don't know how recent it is, but and when I did a search, it came straight, and I couldn't believe my eyes to read. And so basically, what we're talking about here is the perfect knowledge of realizing path of seeing enables you to cease grasping to self and the suffering and the object of suffering. And the idea of suffering. The suffering itself is a mental observation. So we need to go beyond the observation. If the mind is thinking of me and my suffering and that origin and the causes, then it just makes oneself to get stuck in that. So that's when you have truth of path of seeing, and the knowledge and the forbearance to put up with this residue of past wrong views. Any suffering that you presently have are just residues of past wrong views. As long as you do not do any no more wrong views, so you will have abandoned the remedy of abandoning the suffering. And then when you have abandoned the afflictions or the suffering, then you will yield the ability to extend this and maintain your qualities, and then counteract whenever it arises. When you are merit of remembering the emptiness, dharani, I'm just dharani. You got to remember the dharani. You got to remember, And Manjushri says, "You giving me a lunch is not kind. It is not called kind to me." He says, "If you can meditate on the emptiness of things, then that is kind to me." So likewise, this chapter on the afflictions is chapter of non-afflictions. Why would Vasubandu spend writing these 72 verses on afflictions if it wasn't the last 10 verses? It was just affliction after affliction after these 10 verses we talked about is how to abandon the negative tendencies and afflictions by developing path of seeing, noble truth, path of seeing, yeah. But path of seeing doesn't happen unless you have accumulation merit and path of preparation, which is your daily practice, dedication, study, listening. Because this is the conventional level. Yeah, we have to put the whatever is. We have to forbear the earliness or the lateness in the night and the repetitiveness of the practice, because we never complain we have to eat every day. So why we complain that we have to do the sadhana every day? I couldn't believe people say, "Oh, this I can't take it anymore." They should do that with food. "Oh, I can't take this, eat this. I can't take this food anymore. I've been eating this last 52 years I've been eating all this. I'm sick of eating." Nobody stop eating. Why should they stop practicing? So therefore, if you have merit, you will never drop your practices. Accumulation merit, remember? We're talking about accumulation merit here. If you have no merit, this path of seeing is distant, far remote. Cause of the path of seeing is the merit and your commitment. Not overburdening yourself, but practicing and being kind to yourself. Be gentle with others, and have kindness and have compassion. Most sentient beings lack even a clue of path of seeing. For them, suffering is not the truth. Suffering is the opposite of truth. For them, suffering is which makes them to moan and groan and complains and carry on about. They're not patient. They're not forbearing sufferings. They're not forbearing sufferings. They are not forbearing sentient beings with sufferings. So they have not even realized first moment of realization of the forbearance with suffering. They complain sufferings. They don't realize its impermanent, not independently, truly existence. So they lump the object not with patience, but impatience. Not with knowledge, but ignorance. See the opposite of those. Forbearance, impatience, zero tolerance. Knowledge, no knowledge. So where's the truth of suffering? Realize, no truth of suffering. It's going exactly opposite of the truth. If something's changing, they complain. Why should we think things change? Everything's impermanent. That's the first aspect of the 16 aspects of Four Noble Truths we must realize. Anything changes, they complain. They think it should stay same. It's complete erroneous views. But yet they don't know it is erroneous views. Because their eyes are stuck with conjunctivitis. For them to see things impermanent is a big tragedy. They think impermanence is a tragedy. We have to forbear with the impermanence and accept that as the truth. That's seeing the truth of suffering. And then forbear it. Forbear it for a little while until it becomes knowledge. When you have the knowledge, then the forbearance, you have subsequent forbearance. Knowledge has subsequent knowledge. And then it slowly becomes the powerful antidote. Yeah? Powerful antidote that abandons the object of suffering and the subjective thought of the suffering and the origin of suffering are now abandoned. Once it abandons, then it maintains that through your sadhana, through your daily, weekly, or whatever you do that are good. You don't say, I'm tired of doing things. If you can't do physically, doesn't matter. Your heart is the one. Your heart is still helping. It's very important. You should maintain. You should still maintain the good. So after you abandon truth of suffering, you must maintain the abandoning. People abandon, but they develop aversion. That's not abandonment or even maintenance. That's just same afflictions, truth of origin of still unaffected, still there, still doing truth of origin. So truth of origin, they're doing truth of origin unconsciously. Not to do truth of origin, you have to maintain the truth of cessation or whatever practice you have. So first is abandoning the object of truth of suffering and origin of suffering, and then maintain that. Then extend it. Why did Manjushri have to spoon feed this conversation to King Ajatashatru? He was saying this, and then Manjushri says something, then King Ajatashatru says, all these conversations slowly sort of, spoon-fed. Because Manjushri was making him to abandon the wrong view, and then maintain that right view, then extend the right view, then counteract his wrong view, thinking there was a Ajatashatru, or the phenomena of Ajatashatru was the truly existing or truly generated, or his remorse. He used the technique of having this inexhaustible amount of food, which he couldn't fathom. He says, why is all this food inexhaustible? He says, it's because somebody is awful, like remorse is also inexhaustible. Incredible. This is how the sutras, amazing discourses, it looks like a conversation, but sometimes it's the conversation are the teachings. And the Buddha never had a, big announcement saying on the 4th of October, Buddha will come to Sydney
stadium and give the discourse, and everybody comes and somebody introduces. No. It's just the small conversations become amazing teachings. The whole sutra, this sutra is not a long one, by the way. This sutra is not Mahayana exclusive. It's in Theravada. But why not? So the Theravada don't have understanding emptiness? No signless, no emptiness, so it's all there. So this sutra is found in Theravada Pali Sutra. And of course, the Mahayana Sutra is a very famous one. But if you were to compare this sutra in the Pali, some of the characters and terminology is slightly different. That will be very interesting. But all in all, how skillfully that kind of fed, like the food, That's what Manjushri said. Giving me food is not kind to me, But having this conversation was really kind to him, So that's why the merit of course, Manjushri was able to teach this, and Buddha deliberately delegated Manjushri to help eliminate Ajatashatru's remorse by realizing the emptiness and by realizing the dharani. By remembering, dharani means by retaining this teaching of lack of inherent existence of all things. So, because of that, you can see that the purpose of this chapter with these 70 verses is actually to people to realize that if they are not attached to their sufferings and their origin, there is no suffering. There's no origin. There's no production. Suffering is produced by attachment, desire, and aversion. And when one doesn't do them, there is no need to remove them. So by looking at this chapter, of course, it enables us to see, because it's all about path of seeing. The whole subject is about path of seeing, how to see the afflictions, how to observe the affliction. Because by observing afflictions, it becomes the path. You realize the affliction itself becomes the path. Because when you look at observe the affliction itself does not have something to stand on by itself, either as an object or a subject or a thought about which then we have this. But when you abandon the object, when you abandon the thought, and of course there is no truly existing afflictions, it's important to meditate on emptiness of everything. So there is no afflictions. There's no truly existing afflictions. Thinking that I'm afflicted, thinking that he's angry to me, is affliction. Thinking that he's angry at me and then builds the enmity. Then neurotically makes as the other person is angry at you. Because when you think he is angry at me once, you think he's angry again afterwards, until you abandon that view. Until that you abandon that ill-founded view. It's because you observed. You're observing the object by the mind that doesn't know it is doing the observing. So it's ignorant, remember? So it's ignorant. And that ignorant of then grasping to the ego and creates these things. So there's no really afflictions that truly exist, that independently exist. and this is amazingly important. Since one desires to know that all the nature and the types and functions and activities of the afflictions, how to abandon them, how does it get abandoned, how does the karma and affliction work, how to extinguish rebirth, as well as the resultant of the abandonment, what kind of means of abandoning those and so on, one should study. So that's why Vasubandhu's intention of this chapter is so that people don't observe affliction as truly existent, let alone the object and subject and conditions. So with this we'll conclude here, everyone. Thank you very much. And I strongly recommend you to read the rest of that sutra called Eliminating Ajatashatru's Remorse. It's readily available. It's free. If you can't find it, look at 84,000 reading room. You'll get it there. Thank you. Let us do the dedication of merits. Aham bade mere mevaga dadeva menzage haneza meale mere obivronde ajana paradeze erenda Mahayana Buddhism whatever Merera Yavagra Meobe Beganzela Trehoda Mahayana Buddhism Courage Manjushi Nyode Azama Rabada Lava Follow it all the example Ajade de mere Mede Selem Body Jeda Teba Verena Yadaza has been made freely without generation.
So thank you, Lama Choedak Rinpoche, on behalf of all your students here in person and online for yet another term of wonderful Dharma teachings. So we now have a month-long break, and we'll reconvene in 5 weeks from today, which is Tuesday the 17th of October. I hope that this course has inspired you to read the rest of the sutra that Rinpoche mentioned, as well as get the textbook that Rinpoche used for most of this course called The Ornament of Abhidharma. This is available through a number of suppliers online, but I found out just the other day that if you order from Wisdom Publications, its publisher in America, you can actually get it as an ebook, which would be handy because it's over 1,000 pages. And it's significantly cheaper too, about 30% cheaper, and you wouldn't have to wait for it to be sent to you. So that's something that could keep you busy during the break, certainly doing some reading from that as well. And we also, of course, have our Wednesday evening practices and Sunday morning practices, which would be good for you to maintain a connection to your Dharma companions throughout the break. So thank you as usual to our technical team, our committee and our sponsors and patrons for contributing to these ongoing teachings, and we look forward to hearing about next term's topic. And please keep an eye on our website for all the other upcoming events. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, thank you.